There's something refreshing when men get together to pray.
Nekaj zelo osvežujočega je v tem, da se možje združimo v molitvi, smo skupaj in molimo.
It strengthens me as a man to be with you.
Mene kot moža to okrepi, ko sem takole z vami.
I just feel at home.
Počutim se, kot bi bil doma.
And when you can gather in such a beautiful place,
In ko se na tako čudovitem kraju lahko družimo
and just spend time praying,
in ko lahko tako molimo skupaj,
encouraging one another,
spodbujamo drug drugega, opogumljamo drug drugega
trying to set your heart on things that are above,
in osredotočimo svoje srce na višje stvari
and receive the grace of God
in sprejmemo Božjo milost.
just for a couple of days
Samo za par dni takole,
to be free of all the outside concerns
da smo lahko svobodni
and
vseh
problems.
zunanjih skrbi in težav.
It's really a special grace,
To
isn't
je
it?
posebna milost, a ne da?
Ja.
And even though I can't communicate with most of you,
In čeprav ne morem direktno z vami komunicirati,
I can still communicate with God
lahko vseeno komuniciram z Bogom
and listen to Him
in ga poslušam.
and see if He has a word for me.
In poslušam, če ima kaj zame, kakšno besedo ima zame.
So even though I've heard these talks
Čeprav sem slišal te govore
and given them myself,
in čeprav sem tudi sam že
I'm
govoril,
also praying for the Lord to speak to me through them.
prav tako prosim Gospoda, da skozi te govore tudi meni spregovori.
So let's pray.
Torej, dajmo sedaj nekaj zmoliti.
Say, God, help us
Bog, pomagaj nam,
to hear your word.
da slišimo tvojo besedo.
Speak into our hearts.
Govori v naša srca.
Make us aware of what you want to tell us
Daj, da se zavedamo tistega, česar nam želiš povedati
and how you want to direct us.
in kako nas želiš voditi.
I want to talk to you today about what happened
Danes bi vam rad govoril o tem, kaj se je zgodilo,
when you were born,
ko si bil rojen,
when I was born.
ko sem jaz bil rojen.
What were you born into?
V kaj si bil rojen?
What's going on in the world?
Kaj se to dogaja v svetu?
And what part do we have to play in it?
In kakšna je naša vloga v tem svetu?
I like to think about it in two ways.
O tem rad razmišljam na dva načina.
I like to think about the big story
Rad razmišljam o veliki zgodbi
and the little story.
in o mali zgodbi.
The big story is what's happening in the world.
Velika zgodba je tisto, kar se dogaja v svetu.
How can I understand what's going on around me?
Kako lahko razumem tisto, kar se dogaja okrog mene?
And when I think of the little story, I think of my story.
In ko pomislim na malo zgodbo, pomislim na svojo zgodbo.
What's going on with me?
Kaj se z menoj dogaja?
And what does all that have to do with me?
In kaj vse to pomeni zame?
And how do I fit in the big story?
In kako se ta mala zgodba vključuje v veliko zgodbo?
Is that just something that's going on and it doesn't really concern me?
A je to nekaj, kar se dogaja in z mano nima nobene povezave?
It has nothing to do with my life?
Se nič ne dotika mojega življenja, nima povezave z mojim življenjem?
And I want to talk about that because I think it's really important.
Rad bi govoril o tem. Zdi se mi, da je to zelo pomembno, da govorim o tem.
Because I really didn't know the big story until I was about 20 years old.
Veste, sam nisem poznal velike zgodbe, dokler nisem bil star 20 let.
What I didn't understand is that everything points to one event.
Nisem razumel, da vse kaže na en dogodek.
Now, to understand the big story, we have to use our imagination.
Da bi razumeli veliko zgodbo, moramo nekoliko uporabiti domišljijo.
Imagination is the grace that God gives us
To je milost, ki nam jo Bog daje, domišljija,
to be able to see things that we cannot see with our own eyes.
da bi lahko prek domišljije videli tisto, kar naše oči ne vidijo.
So I want you to imagine, just for a moment, close your eyes,
Za trenutek zaprimo oči.
and imagine that when you arrived here at the retreat house,
Predstavljajte si, da ko ste prišli sem v ta samostan,
there were sandbags piled up on the driveway.
si predstavljajte, da bi bile vreče polne peska na dovozu.
And there were soldiers there and they had weapons.
In da bi tam bili vojaki za temi vrečami in bi imeli puške.
And in the distance you could hear battle sounds.
In da bi lahko v daljavi slišal vojno, bitko.
Maybe some bombs breaking.
Morda bombe, ki eksplodirajo v daljavi.
And you came here
In ti bi sem
to
prišel
plan. to make a plan.
In ti bi prišel tukaj za načrt.
Because,
Z načrtom.
because there was a war going on.
Saj dogaja se vojna.
And you were coming together
In prihajamo skupaj, torej pridemo tukaj skupaj,
to determine how you were going to fight the battle.
da bi se skupaj odločili, kako se bomo pa mi borili.
Now open your eyes.
Zdaj odprite oči,
Look out the window.
pogledajte skozi okno.
It's a nice sunny day.
Čudovit sončen dan,
There's beautiful trees and green.
čudovita drevesa in vse je zeleno.
The beauty of Slovenia is all around me.
Čudovita dežela Slovenije, vse okrog nas.
I say, John, have you lost your mind?
Rečeš, Janez, a si ti izgubil a si znorel?
Am I exaggerating?
Ali pretiravam?
And I'm here to tell you I'm not exaggerating.
Jaz vam povem, ne pretiravam.
There is a war going on.
Odvija se vojna.
And if you don't recognize it,
In če to ne prepoznaš
and you don't learn how to fight it,
in se ne naučiš, kako se boriti,
you will become a casualty.
boš postal žrtev te vojne.
Paul says in Ephesians 6,
Pavel pravi v Efežanu 6. poglavje.
our struggle is not against flesh
Ne
and
borimo
blood.
se proti krvi in mesu,
It's against spiritual
ampak
forces,
proti duhovnim silam, oblastem,
forces of evil
torej močem zla
in the heavenly realms.
v nebeškem, v nebeških razsežnostih. Ne?
So the story
Torej zgodba.
is, this is what's going on.
Zgodba je torej v tem, to se dogaja, bitka se odvija.
Paul is not just trying to speak in hyperbole.
Pavel ne želi samo govoriti v prispodobah
He's not just trying to scare you.
in ne želi samo prestrašiti ljudi.
He's saying this is the reality of what's going on.
On pravi, to je resničnost, to je dejstvo, to se dogaja.
No need to be afraid,
Ni se vam treba bati,
but let's recognize what's happening.
ampak dajmo si priznati, da se to dogaja. Dajmo prepoznati, da se to dogaja.
And every one of us knows this is true if we look closely.
In če dobro pogledamo, vsak izmed nas ve, da se to dogaja.
We think about what's going on around us.
Če pogledamo, kaj se dogaja okrog nas.
And the battle that's even going on in our own hearts, in our own
In
minds.
če celo pogledamo v bitko, ki se dogaja v našem srcu in v našem umu.
The reality is you and I were born into a battle.
Resnica je, da smo bili rojeni v bitko, v vojno.
It's been going on since long before you were born.
In ta bitka se odvija že davno preden si ti bil rojen.
And it will be going on long after you die.
In dolgo potem, ko boš že umrl, se bo še vedno ta bitka odvijala.
Unless Jesus comes again soon.
Razen če Jezus kmalu pride nazaj.
Maranatha.
Maranata.
So, that's the big story.
To je velika zgodba.
What happened at the beginning of the big story?
Kaj se je zgodilo v začetku te velike zgodbe?
At the beginning of the big story, there were three persons and one God.
V tem začetku te velike zgodbe so tri osebe v enem Bogu, torej en Bog v treh osebah.
In perfect unity.
V popolni edinosti,
Perfect harmony.
v popolni harmoniji, sozvočju,
Perfect love.
v popolni ljubezni.
Having everything
Vse, bilo je na razpolago vse so imeli.
and needing nothing.
In nič ni bilo potrebno.
And in the counsel of God,
In v Božjem zboru
it is decided that He will create.
se je odločilo, da bo Bog ustvarjal.
And He speaks and things come into being.
In on izgovori besede in zgodi se, ustvari.
And the first thing He creates
In prvo, kar je ustvaril,
is angels.
so bili angeli.
He gives them a free will.
Dal jim je svobodno voljo.
They must be magnificent
To
creatures.
so prečudovita bitja.
I've never seen an angel.
Jaz še nikoli nisem videl
I
angela.
have friends who say they have seen angels.
Poznam prijatelje, ki pravijo, da so videli angele.
I hope to see one someday.
In tudi sam upam, da bom nekega dne enega zagledal.
I hope to see many in heaven.
In upam, da jih bom mnogo videl v nebesih.
Why does He give them free will?
Zakaj je Bog angelom dal svobodno voljo?
Do we know?
Ali mi to morda vemo, zakaj?
Why does God give angels free will?
Zakaj je Bog angelom dal svobodno voljo?
They're worshiping.
Slavijo ga,
They're
čestijo ga,
serving.
služijo.
They're at His side.
Oni so ob njem.
What a magnificent sight it must have been to see an angel in the presence of God worshiping God.
A si predstavljate, kakšen veličasten pogled na angele, ki so v Bogu in ga častijo.
But he gives them this free will.
In daje jim kljub temu svobodno voljo.
They can decide if they want to serve or don't want to serve.
Lahko se celo odločijo, ali mu bodo služili ali ne.
Does anyone know why?
Ali kdorkoli tukaj ve zakaj?
Ljubezen.
Ja.
Yes.
Ja.
Because without free will, you cannot love.
Brez svobodne volje ne moreš ljubiti.
Because then you are forced.
Ker si v nasprotnem primeru prisiljen.
And with force, there's no freedom to love.
In če si pod prisilo, potem ni svobode ljubiti.
But when you have a choice and you can freely decide, I will serve, I will love.
Ko pa imaš svobodno voljo in se lahko prosto odločiš, bom služil, bom ljubil.
In order to do that, you need free will.
Da bi to lahko storil, potrebuješ svobodno voljo.
Now, the most beautiful creature,
Najbolj čudovito bitje,
the most powerful of all the angels,
najmočnejši od vseh angelov,
was Lucifer.
je bil Lucifer.
His name means the bright shining one.
In njegovo ime pomeni tisti, ki se sveti.
There was a time when he served God.
Bil je celo čas, ko je Lucifer služil Bogu.
And he loved God.
In je ljubil Boga.
The most powerful of all the angels,
Torej najmočnejši od vseh angelov,
in the presence of God,
v prisotnosti Boga,
must have been a beautiful sight.
je moralo biti nekaj prečudovitega. Pogled na to je moral biti prečudovit, neverjeten.
That's something we will never see.
To je nekaj, kar ne bomo nikoli videli.
But this one, Lucifer, decides to rebel.
Ampak ta Lucifer se odločil upreti Bogu.
Now consider that decision.
Pomislite malo na to odločitev.
He thinks he can rebel against God
Pomislil je, da se lahko Bogu upre
and win.
in zmaga.
Could you imagine a boxing match?
A si lahko predstavljate tak boksarski obračun?
In this corner, Lucifer,
V tem kotu je Lucifer,
the bright shining one.
tisti, ki se sveti, ne? Tisti, ki žari.
All the angels know,
Vsi angeli vedo.
the most powerful among them.
Najmočnejši, najmogočnejši izmed angelov,
And in this corner,
in v tem kotu
the Almighty God.
vsemogočni Bog.
And this guy thinks he can win.
In ta tukaj misli, da lahko zmaga proti temu.
Imagine the pride,
A si predstavljate ta napuh,
the audacity. I don't know if you
to
can.
drznost, to predrznost v hudiču, v Luciferju.
He's so proud.
Torej, tako je napuhnjen, tako je poln samega
And
sebe.
here's the even more amazing thing to me.
In tukaj je nekaj, kar me še bolj
The
preseneča.
scripture says he convinces 1/3 of the angels to follow him.
V Svetem pismu pravi, da je tretjino angelov prepričal, da gredo za njim.
And he takes 1/3 of the angels.
Torej, tretjino angelov je prepričal, da gredo za njim, da mu sledijo.
Now there's some verses in Revelation
V Razodetju je nekaj odstavkov,
where John says a war came up in heaven.
kjer Janez pravi, da je v nebesih prišlo do vojne.
Says Michael and his angels
Sveti Mihael in njegovi angeli
are fighting the dragon.
so se borili zoper zmaja.
And his angels fought and the dragon was defeated.
In angeli so se borili, zmaj je bil premagan.
And there was no longer any place for them in heaven.
In za zmaja in njegove angele več ni bilo prostora v nebesih.
The great dragon is thrown down, John says.
Zmaj je bil vržen ven iz nebes.
And the ancient serpent called the devil and Satan,
In ta starodavna kača, imenovana hudič, Satan,
the deceiver of the whole world,
tisti, ki je v bistvu premamil oziroma prelisičil ves svet,
was thrown down.
je bil vržen iz nebes dol.
Where was he thrown to?
Kam pa je bil vržen?
To earth.
Na zemljo.
And his angels were thrown down with him.
In prav tako tretjina angelov z njim.
And this once beautiful creature
In to bitje, ki je nekoč bilo veličastno,
is now filled with
je
malice
sedaj polno zla, je samo zlo.
and ugliness
In grdo je, polno
and
grdo.
darkness.
In teme.
Now, here's another question.
No, tu je še eno vprašanje.
Why
Zakaj?
does this evil being hate us so much?
Zakaj nas to zlohotno bitje tako hudo sovraži?
And why did he rebel?
In zakaj se je uprl?
Have you ever thought about it?
A ste kdaj pomislili mogoče na to?
Right?
He would like us to be to go to hell.
That's true.
To je res.
Jealousy,
Envy.
pride,
Envy.
envy. Okay, those are all sins.
Zavist, ljubosumje.
But what's behind the decision?
To so vse grehi, ampak kaj stoji za to njegovo
What
odločitvijo?
came to his attention?
Kaj je tisto, kar je v bistvu njega spravilo do
What came
tega?
into his awareness
Česa
that he
se,
said, I cannot abide by this.
kaj se mu je zgodilo, da je hudič rekel, to pa ne morem več, tako, ne morem služiti, nočem služiti.
Ker smo ustvarjeni po Božji podobi.
Because we're made in the image of God.
Very close.
Zelo
He
blizu.
wanted to have the same position as God.
Želim imeti
That's
isto pozicijo kot
jealousy and
Bog.
envy.
To je ljubosumje, zavist.
Here's what the saints say.
To je, poglejte, sedaj bom
I
povedal,
wasn't aware of this until a few years ago.
šele pred nekaj leti sem slišal, kaj svetniki o tem pravijo.
The saints say it came to his knowledge that God was going to create another creature.
Svetniki pravijo, da je hudič zvedel, da bo Bog ustvaril še eno bitje.
A creature made not only of spirit, but flesh and blood.
Bitje, ki ni ustvarjeno samo iz duha, ampak tudi iz krvi in mesa.
And in fact, this creature would one day rise up.
In to bitje se bo nekoč povzdignilo,
Get ready for this.
pripravite se zdaj na to.
And he would rule over the angels.
In to bitje iz krvi in mesa bo vladalo nad angeli.
And Satan could not accept this.
In hudič to ni mogel sprejeti.
What is that?
Kaj je to?
That little
To malo
weak
slabotno
creature,
bitje, ki ga lahko zdrobi.
you know? I mean, could you imagine?
A si lahko predstavljate?
It's almost like an ant
Je
is
skoraj,
crawling,
skoraj kot bi mravljica po tleh plazila.
and it looks up at you.
In te pogleda
and starts-
in ti govori mravlja, ti govori
And you're supposed to be afraid.
in sedaj se ti moraš bati te mravljice, služiti tej mravljici.
Satan said no.
Satan, hudič, je rekel, ne bom služil.
And soon enough,
In takoj v trenutku,
man enters into the picture.
kmalu zatem pa je v bistvu Bog ustvaril človeka.
And he gives us free will.
In da tudi nam svobodno voljo.
And he makes us to be in perfect union with him.
In ko smo bili ustvarjeni, smo bili v popolnem odnosu z Bogom.
And Satan sees the happiness of man and woman.
In hudič vidi, kako sta človek, torej mož in žena, srečna
And he wants to destroy it.
in želi to uničiti.
Because he wants to destroy everything that God loves.
Se želi uničiti vse, kar Bog ljubi, čemur Bog naklanja svojo ljubezen, poklanja ljubezen.
Anything that smells of God.
Vse, kar diši po Bogu,
Anything that has the image of God.
vse, kar nosi Božjo podobo,
Satan wants to destroy.
želi hudič uničiti.
And we see in Genesis
In v Genezi vidimo,
that the first invasion occurs.
da je prva invazija se je že zgodila, torej prvi vdor se je že zgodil.
Satan invades the territory of man and women.
Hudič
Man and
vstopi,
woman.
udre v prostor, kjer sta mož in žena.
And here's the saddest part.
In poglejte, kaj je najbolj žalostno.
We are very quick to join the rebellion.
Mi smo tisti, ki se zelo kmalu vključimo v upor zoper Boga. Človek se hitro vključi v upor zoper Boga.
Lahko eno vprašanje, da gremo naprej. Kako je, po čem je hudič sklepal, da bo človek vladal nad angeli?
How did the devil get to think that man will rule over angels? That humans will rule?
Huh?
Told by God.
Because he's told by, how has he become aware of it?
No, how does he understand?
Ne, kako to zgleda, ne, tudi zdaj, ne, kako to zgleda, da človek ima oblast
How
nad
does it,
hudičem?
what does it mean even now that man has authority over angels? No.
Well, I know it's in the
It's in the
scriptures.
scriptures.
Pravi, da v Svetem pismu piše.
Aha,
He was
Bog je
made aware of
ustvaril človeka
The angels
malo
were made aware
manjšega
by God
od
that they
Boga.
were going
A
to
to
be
pomeni,
subject.
no?
Ja, nižjega od angelov.
Malo,
This
ja.
is just
Nižjega
speculation.
Ja.
This is the saints are speculating
Pravi, da v bistvu svetniki razpravljajo, razmišljajo o tem,
that this is why
da bi to naj bil razlog,
Satan rebels.
zakaj se je hudič v osnovi uprl.
It's not written in the scriptures.
Dobesedno tako ni
This
napisano v
is
Svetem
just
pismu,
what the saints believe.
ampak načeloma je to tisto, kar so svetniki
In the
verjeli.
Sura, Assume that St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yes, and it was St. Thomas
Tomaž
Aquinas
Akvinski
who said
so
this.
razpravlja o tem.
All right, thanks.
Hvala.
Okay, now, so man chooses to rebel.
Človek se prav tako upre Bogu,
We decide to disobey our Creator.
ne poslušamo več svojega stvarnika
And what happens from that is it ruptures our relationship with God.
in kar se od tam naprej zgodi, prekine naš odnos z Bogom, prelomi naš odnos z Bogom.
And Satan then takes man's rightful authority.
In tako hudič vzame, ukrade človeku oblast, ki mu je bila dana od Boga.
Why?
Zakaj?
Because the law of God says those who rebel
Zato, ker Bog pravi, tisti, ki se uprejo,
must die.
tisti, ki se upre, to je zakon, tisti, ki se upre, bo umrl.
And through the power of death,
In po moči smrti,
Satan keeps all men and women in slavery.
hudič zasužnjuje vsakega moža, vsako ženo.
And that's a very grim, big story.
In to je pravzaprav ta grozna, velika zgodba.
Because if it were to end there,
Če bi se pa ta zgodba samo tu tudi končala,
we are wasting our time here today.
bi potem mi danes tukaj izgubljali čas.
There's no reason to be here.
Ne bi bilo razloga, zakaj bi bili tukaj, če bi to bila končna zgodba.
Eat, drink,
Ne bi bilo razloga,
and be merry.
zakaj bi
Because
jedli.
tomorrow
Ja,
you're going to die.
ja. Torej, jej, pi, ne, jutri boš umrl.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
In nič ne moreš storiti za to.
Thankfully, the story doesn't end there.
Hvala Bogu se tukaj zgodba ne zaključi.
God has a plan
Bog ima načrt,
to restore our relationship with Him.
da bi obnovil odnos med človekom in Bogom.
And we see all through the Old Testament
In vse skozi staro zavezo lahko vidimo,
God putting together His amazing plan,
kako Bog izpeljuje svoj čudoviti načrt.
giving them a glimpse
Daje jim vedno mali upogled, predokus
of Jesus.
Jezusa.
We can see Jesus in the Old Testament.
V stari zavezi lahko vidimo Jezusa.
So many things are pointing to Him.
Toliko stvari kaže na Jezusa v stari zavezi.
Noah builds an ark.
Noa naredi arko.
Why?
Zakaj?
He wants to keep his family safe.
Zato, ker želi, da je družina varna.
Abraham is willing to sacrifice his son
Abraham bi celo žrtvoval svojega sina,
if that's what's required of him.
če je to tisto, kar ga Bog prosi.
And in fact, his son carries the wood to the
In
sacrifice.
celo sin nosi les za daritev, za žrtev.
You can look at every person in the Old Testament.
Lahko pogledate vsako osebo v stari zavezi.
You think Moses is the protagonist,
Pomislite recimo na Mojzesa
or maybe David,
ali pa Davida
or maybe one of the prophets, Elijah.
ali nekoga od prorokov, Elija.
But they are all pointing, they're all a type
Oni so
of the
vsi,
one who is to come.
oni so vsi nosijo v sebi predokus tistega, ki bo prišel. Kažejo na
They
nekoga
keep calling us back,
in kličejo nas nazaj.
calling God's people back.
Kličejo Božje ljudstvo
Get it
nazaj.
right.
Spremenite se, poslušajte.
Follow God.
Sledite,
Do what's
slušajte,
right.
pojdite za Bogom. Storite tisto, delajte tisto, kar je prav.
And God forgives,
In Bog odpušča.
and they turn back to Him for a little while,
In za nekaj časa se spet obrnejo k
and then
Bogu.
again they turn
In
away.
potem ponovno padejo in odpadejo od Boga.
And it goes on for like 4,000
In
years.
ta zgodba se ponavlja nekih 4000 let.
And it ends with Malachi,
In z Malahijo se konča.
and then there's 400 years of silence.
In potem po Malahiji je 400 let tišine.
Did you know that?
A ste to
I
vedeli?
never knew that
Jaz tega
before.
nisem prej vedel.
The book of Malachi till Jesus is born is 400 years.
Med Malahijo in Jezusom je 400 let.
It's like God didn't have anything new to say.
A Bog ni imel nič novega, kar bi lahko povedal?
I can't go with silence from God for 1 week.
Jaz ne morem biti v tišini od Boga, se pravi, če Boga za teden dni ne bi slišal, bi bilo že
They
preveč.
should just read the scriptures.
No, lahko bi brali so seveda Sveto pismo lahko.
But we know God is pursuing man.
Ampak vemo, da Bog ne obupa, vedno hodi za človekom,
He
vedno išče
still wants to
človeka.
reconcile with us.
Vedno se želi spraviti s človekom.
And we keep falling and falling.
Mi pa padamo in padamo v greh.
Here's the amazing story.
Tukaj je čudovita zgodba.
God doesn't allow his creation to be destroyed by his enemy.
Bog ne dovoli, da bi tisto, kar je ustvaril, bilo uničeno strani sovražnika.
For the sake of the glory of his name,
Zaradi njegovega veličastnega imena.
he decides to make an invasion of his own,
Se Bog odloči, da bo sam udaril v to
a
zgodbo.
second invasion.
To je drugi udar.
And he comes in disguise,
In pride skrit, zakrit.
and he wants to deliver a word of mercy
In želi nam prinesti besedo milosti.
before there's yet another invasion
Preden pride tretji udar.
and a final judgment.
In zadnje tudi sodba.
But imagine our
Predstavljate si,
king came to do battle himself,
predstavljate si, naš kralj je prišel, da bi se sam za nas boril.
and he lands in a foxhole. You
In
know what a foxhole is?
I'm gonna translate it. In konča praktično v zajčji luknji, bi rekel, ne? Ja,
Behind enemy lines.
za bojno črto.
And he narrowly escapes death
In,
right after his birth.
in takoj po rojstvu se izogne že smrti,
The king wants to kill him.
ker ga kralj želi že ubiti. Herod že gleda, kako bi umoril otroka.
And his father sees a dream.
In Jožef je seveda v sanjah dobil
And he
opozorilo,
says, take the child and run,
kjer pravi, seveda opozorilo pravi, vzemi otroka in pojdi,
because his enemy is already trying to destroy
ker
him.
je sovražnik zdaj že delal na tem, da bi ga uničil, že poskušal, da bi ga ubil.
And he narrowly escapes death right after his birth.
In zelo hitro ubeži smrti, že prvemu poskusu, da bi se ga umorilo.
And he remains in disguise for 30
In
years.
30 let ostane na nek način zakrit.
And we see that story of his birth.
In vidimo to zgodbo njegovega rojstva.
We hear a few stories about how he grew up,
Slišimo tudi nekaj zgodb, kako je odraščal,
but then he starts to take off the mask.
ampak potem se pa razkrije.
And we start to read that story in the
In
Gospels.
v evangelijih tam začnemo brati zgodbo.
And what's the enemy's response?
In kako se sovražnik odzove?
What have you to do with us, O Son of Man?
Pravi takole, kaj imaš opraviti z nami, Božji sin?
Who is this one?
Kdo je ta?
No one ever spoke like this to
Nihče,
us before.
sin človekov, nihče ni tako govoril z nami, nihče ni prej tako govoril.
He speaks and we have to obey.
On govori in mi moramo ubogati.
And people flock to him.
In seveda ljudje so množično hodili k
Why?
njemu. Zakaj?
Because he's healing the sick.
Zato, ker ozdravlja
He's feeding
bolnike,
the hungry.
hrani lačne,
He's breaking the chains of the oppressed.
lomi verige, trga verige, tisti, ki so pod vplivom
And
hudiča.
he's setting people free.
In osvobaja jetnike.
He teaches by word and example.
In uči z besedo in z dejanji.
And what is he teaching?
In kaj uči? Pardon?
The main thing he's teaching is what is love.
Glavna stvar, ki jo uči, ki jo kaže, je, kaj je ljubezen.
And he's saying you will only truly be happy
In pravi, edino resnično veselje bo,
if you love
če ljubiš
and you are loved.
in če si ljubljen.
And he walks among his rebels
In hodi med tistimi, ki celo se njemu upirajo,
and he says, come back to your true father.
tako se pravi, hodi tukaj in pravi, vrnite se k očetu.
Throw off the tyranny. Throw off the tyrant.
Aha, tako ja. Se pravi, osvobodite se tistega, ki vas muči.
I came that you might know how much I love the Father
Prišel sem zato, da bi videli Božjo ljubezen.
and how much he loves you.
In koliko jaz ljubim očeta in koliko oče vas ljubi.
He's teaching us what we were made for.
Uči nas za to, za kar smo bili ustvarjeni.
He's teaching us who we are.
Uči nas, kdo smo.
And he says, I know what your story has been about so far,
In pravi, poznam vašo zgodbo do sedaj,
but we can change that story.
ampak to zgodbo lahko spremenimo.
I can make all things new again.
Lahko vse delam novo, vse bom prenovil.
And Satan sees this
In Satan seveda to vidi
and he wants to destroy it
in želi to uničiti,
because his kingdom
zato ker njegovo kraljestvo
is being shaken.
se sedaj trese.
Someone has entered the strong man's house
Nekdo je prišel v hišo močnega
and he's carrying off his belongings
in sedaj že odnaša tisto, kar si je ta priboril.
and he doesn't like it.
In Satanu to ni všeč.
So he comes up with a plan of his own.
In torej hudič skuje svoj načrt.
I know what I'll do.
Vem, kaj bom storil, pravi hudič.
I will stir up the malice that I know is in man's heart.
Spodbudil bom, se pravi, zlo, ki je v človekovem srcu.
They're so easy to fool.
Veste, tako lahko jih je preslepiti.
They are so easy to give into fear.
Tako lahko jih je prestrašiti.
Fear of losing their power.
Prestrašiti, da bodo sami izgubili oblast.
Fear of losing their life.
Da bodo izgubili življenje.
I have a plan.
Imam načrt.
And he fabricates the plan.
In seveda začne udejanjati načrt.
Charges of blasphemy.
Torej, označi Jezusa za bogokletneža.
Insurrection. Rebellion.
Ja, torej,
to rebel against the king. He says Jesus is rebelling against the king.
Tako, ja. Pravi, da se Jezus upira kralju, da želi kralja, v bistvu, da se postavlja za kralja.
Tax evasion. Doesn't pay his taxes.
Tako, obtoži Jezusa, da ne plačuje davkov.
Why?
Zakaj?
Because Satan thinks that Jesus has let his guard down.
Zato, ker Satan misli, da je Jezus spustil svojo obrambo.
He's made himself vulnerable.
Naredil se je ranljivega.
And he can deceive the creatures so easily.
In tako lahko zaslepi bitja.
These puny little body soul
Ta mala
creatures.
lesena bitja z dušo. Satan jih brez težav
And
zaslepi.
he
kako
convinces
razmišlja.
them to kill him.
In celo prepriča ta majhna bitja, ki jih sam vidi kot majhna, da umorijo Jezusa.
And the one who gets his power through sin reaches out and grabs and swallows the Son of God in death.
In tisti, se pravi,
Okay, the one who has power through sin,
tisti, ki ima moč po grehu,
he reaches out and grabs
zagrabi
and swallows the Son of
in
God
pogoltne Božjega sina
in death.
v smrt.
He really killed him.
In resnično ga je ubil.
Jesus, the only Son of God,
Jezus, edinorođeni Božji sin,
just think about this,
pomislite malo na to,
was dead.
je bil mrtev.
It's why when I talk to Muslims, they just have such a hard time understanding me in
Ko
Turkey.
v Turčiji govorim muslimanom, me zato zelo težko razumejo.
What God
Kateri
would
Bog,
allow his creature
kateri Bog bi dovolil, da njegovo ustvarjeno bitje
to do that to him,
stori to njemu,
to make fun of him?
da bi se iz njega norčeval, torej ustvarjeno
It
bitje, ki se
doesn't
iz
make
Boga
sense,
norčevalo.
does it?
To nekako nam sploh nam ni jasno, ni smiselno.
Thank God it didn't make sense to Satan either.
Hvala Bogu, to ni bilo smiselno tudi v primeru hudiča.
Because in doing this, he made the biggest mistake he could ever make.
Zato, ker ko je to storil hudič, je naredil največjo napako, ki jo je lahko storil.
Because on that day,
Zato, ker tega dne
the soldiers proved
so vojaki dokazali,
that our strength is what wins.
da je moč tista, ki
The
zmaguje.
religious leaders,
Vodje takratne cerkve
we have
oziroma
eliminated the threat to our monopoly.
so rekli, sedaj smo odstranili oviro za naš monopol.
Pilate, my headache is finally gone.
Pilat je rekel, ne boli me več glava, končano je.
What about his disciples?
Kaj pa učenci Jezusovi?
One has betrayed him.
Eden ga je izdal,
One denies him.
eden ga je zanikal,
The rest are hiding.
drugi se skrivajo.
Mary's crying.
Marija joče,
Her heart is pierced.
prebodeno srce ima.
Satan,
Hudič,
she's dancing.
hudič pa pleše. Pleše in
I
pleše.
finally won.
Pravi, ja, zmagal sem.
I'm done with him.
Dovolj je, končano
Evil has
je.
triumphed.
Ja, zlo je zmagalo.
I am the king of the universe.
Jaz sem kralj vsega vesolja.
But he did the one thing,
Ampak storil je prav tisto,
the only one thing
tisto edino stvar,
that he should have never done.
ki ni smel nikoli storiti, kar ne bi smel nikoli storiti.
He shed the precious blood
Prelil je predragoceno kri
of the Son of God.
Božjega sina.
That's what Satan thought.
To je, tako si je hudič mislil,
He made a fatal mistake
ampak naredil je ključno napako.
because God is too big
Zato, ker je Bog prevelik,
to sit in the belly of Satan.
da bi bil v trebuhu hudiča.
And when he swallowed him,
In ko ga je pogoltnil,
he swallowed something much bigger than himself.
je pogoltnil nekaj veliko večjega od samega sebe.
And he couldn't keep him down.
In ni ga mogel tam zadržati.
Why?
Zakaj?
What gives sin power? What gives death power?
Kaj smrti daje moč?
Sin.
Greh.
Yes?
Ja, greh.
Sin is what gives. But this one
Ampak ta,
never sinned.
ki je bil v trebuhu, ni nikoli
And he
grešil.
didn't have to submit to death.
In se ni moral pokršiti
And
smrti.
he burst out of the
In je
tomb.
prišel ven iz groba.
He's alive.
Živ je.
Brothers, he's alive.
Živ je. Živ je.
And the world has never been the same.
In svet ni nikoli več isti.
It'll never be the same.
Nikoli ne bo isti.
See, everything in the whole story
Vse v tej
was
celi zgodbi,
pointing to this.
ker je vse v tej veliki zgodbi kazalo na ta
It
trenutek.
changed history.
To je spremenilo zgodovino.
Nothing will ever be the same.
Nič več ne bo isto.
God raised him up, Peter said on Pentecost.
Bog ga je torej,
God raised him up.
Ja, dvignil ga je.
He loosened the pangs of death. He loosened the chains of death
Torej, raztrgal je verige smrti.
because it was not possible for death to hold him
Ker
down.
ni bilo mogoče, da bi ga smrt zadržala.
That's what Peter said
To pravi Peter.
in the first sermon
V prvem nagovoru.
on the day of Pentecost.
Na Binkošti.
He said, "This Jesus God raised up,
Ta Jezus, ki ga je Bog povzdignil,
and of this we are all
in
witnesses."
mi smo vsi priče, da je to storil.
Paul says in Colossians,
Pavel pravi pri pismu
on
Kološanom,
the cross,
na križu
Jesus disarmed the powers and authorities,
je Jezus razorožil oblasti teme.
and he made them like theater. It was like a show. He made a show of them. it
Naredil je
says.
praktično, naredil je šov iz njih, komedijo na nek način.
He breaks the bonds.
Raztrgal je verige,
He breaks the gates of hell.
raztrgal je tudi, uničil je peklenska vrata.
Why?
Zakaj?
So that we could be free.
Tako da bi mi lahko bili svobodni.
And the world has never been the same.
In svet ni nikoli več isti po tistem.
The only way your sin and my sin
Edini način, na katerega vaš greh in moj
can
greh
be cleaned,
je lahko očiščen,
can be
je
erased,
lahko izbrisan,
is by this blood.
je po tej krvi.
By asking his forgiveness,
Tako da prosimo njega za odpuščanje
receiving his mercy,
in sprejemamo njegovo milost.
and being wiped clean.
In smo tako popolnoma očiščeni.
Because what is sinful cannot enter heaven.
Kajti tisto, kar je grešno, ne more v nebesa.
It wouldn't be heaven.
Ne bi bila nebesa, če bi greh lahko vstopil v nebesa.
And this is what makes us clean, brothers.
In to nas očiščuje, bratje.
Now you and I enter the war.
Sedaj, jaz in vi vstopamo v
About
vojno,
2,000 years later.
2000 let kasneje,
And we come along in this ancient battle.
in se torej pridružujemo tej antični vojni, tej starodavni vojni,
And somehow
in nekako
we are surprised
smo presenečeni.
of the evil that's all around
In
us.
nekako smo presenečeni od zla, ki ga vidimo okrog sebe.
John says in his first letter,
Janez v prvem pismu pravi takole.
the whole world,
Ves svet,
all around us,
vse tisto, kar je okrog nas,
is in the power of the evil one.
tiči v zlu.
Nothing much has changed.
Ni se kaj dosti spremenilo.
It started in the beginning.
Začelo se je že
In the
v začetku, v Edenskem vrtu.
Lust,
Pohota,
greed, pride,
Hvala, thank you.
murder,
Umor, napuh,
anger, bitterness, envy.
renkoba,
It's all there, isn't it?
Vse je tam
It's still here.
in še vedno je
It
tukaj.
hasn't gone away.
Ni šlo nikamor.
People think we're going to cure those things,
Ljudje mislijo, da se bomo zdravili
but there's
tega.
only one cure.
Ampak samo eno zdravilo je.
And here's the question.
In tukaj je sedaj moje
Here's the big
vprašanje.
question.
Tukaj je veliko vprašanje.
Have you chosen sides?
Ali si se ti že odločil, na čigavi strani si, na kateri strani si?
Whose team are you going to be on?
S katero ekipo si?
What's your strategy?
Kaj je tvoja strategija?
What's your plan?
Kaj je tvoj načrt?
What's your place in the battle?
Kje je tvoje mesto v tej bitki?
How does your story
Kako tvoja zgodba?
fit in with the big
Kako
story?
se tvoja zgodba vključuje v veliko zgodbo Boga?
It's not just a war of the human race.
To ni samo vojna človeške
It's
vrste,
personal.
ampak je osebna vojna.
Your decision has consequences.
Tvoja odločitev ima posledice, nosi
You
posledice.
see, because when you said,
Vidite, ko ste vi rekli,
I give my life to Jesus,
svoje življenje izročam, predajam Jezusu,
I want to be part of his people,
želim biti del njegovega ljudstva,
I'm going to live my life for God.
živel bom svoje življenje za Boga,
Just be aware of this.
zavedajte se tega.
You put a nice big target on your chest
Ko ste to storili, ste na svoja prsa dali veliko tarčo,
because you made yourself the enemy
saj ste vi postali nasprotnik,
of the
sovražnik
most powerful creature ever created.
od najmočnejšega bitja, ki je kadarkoli bilo ustvarjeno pri Bogu.
Did you know that?
A ste to vedeli?
That's not a reason to be afraid,
Ni vas treba biti strah.
unless you choose the wrong side.
Razen, če se odločiš za napačno stran.
He who is in me is greater than he who is in the world.
Tisti, ki je v meni, je večji kot tisti, ki je v svetu.
You give your life to
Ti
Jesus,
daš svoje življenje Jezusu,
he gives you power,
in
authority,
ti Jezus da moč, oblast.
right now,
Zdaj, v tem
to
trenutku,
command spirits to
da
leave,
ukazuješ duhovom, da odidejo.
and they have to
In
go.
morajo oditi.
But if you're just going to walk around in this world
Ampak če se boš po tem svetu samo sprehajal,
like nothing is happening,
kot da se nič ne dogaja,
there's no battle going on out there.
in si boš govoril,
John, I don't hear any guns
ja,
or
ne
bombs.
slišim nobenih pušk, ne slišim streljanja, ni vojne,
You're going to become a casualty.
boš tudi ti postal žrtev.
From the year 64 to 312.
64.
64 till 312.
Aha. Torej, od leta 64 do 312
It was illegal for a
je
Christian
bilo za kristjana
to live in the Roman Empire.
protizakonito, da bi živel v rimskem imperiju.
In 258,
Torej, v letu 258
Valerian decreed all Christians should be killed on sight.
je Valerijan odločil, da bi vsi kristjani morajo biti umorjeni takoj, ko se jih vidi, torej
And what
takoj na licu
happened?
mesta. In kaj se je zgodilo?
Did Christianity die?
A je krščanstvo zato umrlo,
The
izumrlo?
empire was trying to destroy Christianity.
Glede, torej, rimsko cesarstvo, rimski imperij je želel uničiti krščanstvo.
That's not what happened.
Ampak to se ni zgodilo.
Christianity grew
Krščanstvo je zraslo.
rapidly,
In to zelo hitro zraslo.
mostly by women.
In seveda na začetku največ pri ženah.
That's just reality. Priests
pač-
have confirmed this.
To je pač resničnost. Duhovniki so to potrdili.
Why?
Zakaj?
Because they couldn't stop talking
Zato,
about
ker,
the one who was dead,
zato, ker niso mogli nehati govoriti o tistem.
and now he is
In
alive.
zdaj je živ.
And it's incredible to think that that's what Paul and his disciples and all these women did.
In neverjetno je, da pomislimo, kako je Pavel in vsi apostoli in te ženske, kaj so storili.
Because until that time,
Zakaj do tistega
in all
časa
of human history,
v vsej človeški
there was no
zgodovini
such thing as a missionary.
ni bilo misionarja. To
Do you
sploh ni
know that?
obstajalo. A veste, do takrat ni
No
obstajalo
such thing.
misionarstvo.
In Athens,
V Atenah
the emperor never said,
cesar ni nikoli rekel,
go to Antioch
pejte v Antiohijo
and tell them about Zeus.
in povejte o Jezusu. To se
Never happened.
Zeus.
Zeus. Never happened.
Hvala. Okay, sorry.
Okay? It just never happened.
To se ni nikoli prej zgodilo, da bi nekdo nekoga poslal, da oznanja o nekem Bogu.
And here's the incredible thing.
In poglejte, tu je
People were
neverjetna stvar.
giving money
Poglejte, ljudje so dajali denar,
to this missionary guy
prinašali so denar,
so that he could go and tell people they didn't even know
da bi lahko on šel in govoril ljudem, ki jih sploh ni poznal in jih oni niso poznali,
about this
o
Jesus,
tem Jezusu.
and they didn't. How were they going to believe a dead man came
In
alive?
kako so oni lahko verjeli, da je človek, ki je umrl, spet živ?
But they're raising money to say, go and tell those people.
Da darujejo svoj denar in pravijo, pojdi in oznanje.
And those people aren't even from our tribe.
In celo ti ljudje niso celo niti iz našega plemena.
It's like Armenians giving money
To je kot da bi Armenici dajali denar,
to a man to go and teach Jesus to the Turks.
da bi dali denar nekomu, da gre,
Believe me, I know this would never happen in this time.
da gre Turke poučiti o Jezusu. Verjemite, da se to takrat ne bi zgodilo.
But that's what they're doing.
Ampak to delajo.
And they go to foreign lands
In gredo v druge države, tuje države,
to
tuje
deliver a
države,
message.
da bi tam nesli to sporočilo.
Freedom,
Svoboda,
mercy,
milost,
love.
ljubezen.
One who was dead is now alive.
Tisti, ki je bil umorjen, sedaj živi.
And
Spet
it's
živi.
not just words.
In to niso samo besede.
They're praying with people.
Molijo z ljudmi.
Dead people are coming alive.
Ljudje, ki so umrli, so obujeni od mrtvih.
People who are walking in the man's shadow are being healed.
Tisti, ki samo pridejo do Petrove sence, so ozdravljeni
And they're giving up their lives.
in dajejo svoje življenje.
God is even choosing not to save them from awful death.
Bog se celo odloči, da jih ne prišpara mučeniške smrti.
And these ones who can pray and raise people from the dead, just like that one did.
In tisti, ki oznanja evangelij in obujejo ljudi od mrtvih, tako kot je Donald pravzaprav molil, da
Every
ljudi od
one
mrtvih.
of his disciples,
Vsak od njegovih
save
učencev,
one, they tried to kill him too,
tudi njega so poskušali ubiti,
was killed.
je bil umorjen.
And they wouldn't let go.
In niso popustili, kljub temu, da so bili preganjeni in umorjeni, niso
Not one of
popustili.
them would say, no, it didn't happen.
Nihče ni rekel, ne, ni se
I've
zgodilo.
been lying.
Lagal sem,
I confess.
priznam.
He really didn't rise from the dead.
Res ni vstal od
I
mene.
don't know for sure.
Nisem prepričan.
No.
Ne.
Witnesses.
Priče.
That's what we need today.
To je tisto, kar danes potrebujemo.
So what's your story going to be about?
Torej, o čem bo govorila tvoja zgodba?
What's your story going to point to?
Kam bo kazala tvoja zgodba? Na kaj bo kazala?
You see, there's something seriously wrong in the world.
Veste, nekaj je hudo narobe v svetu.
God has a remedy,
Bog ima zdravilo za to.
but the remedy didn't come cheap.
Ampak zdravilo ni prišlo poceni.
We couldn't fix the sin problem.
Mi nismo sami mogli odpraviti greha.
God himself intervened.
Bog sam je prišel,
But the cost for that
ampak cena za to
was the life of his son.
je bilo življenje njegovega sina.
And through his death and
Po
resurrection,
njegovi smrti in ustajenju
we can have life.
imamo lahko življenje.
Jesus said these words.
Jezus je povedal te besede.
I do what the Father
Jaz delam tisto, kar Oče
requires of me,
od mene zahteva.
so that the world will know
Tako da bo svet spoznal,
that I love
da jaz
the
ljubim
Father.
Očeta.
Can we make that our prayer today?
A lahko to postane danes naša molitev?
I do what the Father
Delam tisto, kar Oče
asks of me,
zahteva od mene,
requires of me,
kar želi, da bi počel.
so that the world would know
Da bi svet spoznal,
that I love the Father.
da ljubim Očeta.
Brothers, there are a lot of things I would rather be doing today.
Veste, bratje, danes je veliko stvari, ki bi jih raje počel.
I'm trying to care for my family.
Skrbim za svojo družino. In vsi me kličejo na telefonu.
But Jesus brought me here
Ampak Jezus me je pripeljal sem,
to bring this message
da bi to sporočil vam.
because it's more important than all of those things.
Ker je to v tem trenutku pomembnejše od vsega tistega, kar imam na telefonu.
I said yes to the Father.
Rekel sem da,
I'll go
Očetu,
wherever you send me.
šel bom kamorkoli me pošleš.
Wherever you go, Lord,
Kamorkoli ti
I
greš,
will follow you.
bom šel za teboj.
Wherever you want me to be,
Kjerkoli želiš, da bi bil,
I will be.
bom bil.
Because your people
Zato, ker tvoji
are my
ljudje
people
so moji ljudje.
and you are my God.
In ti si moj Bog.
Don't ask me
Ne vprašaj me,
to leave your side.
da te zapustim. Ne prosi me, da bi te zapustil.
Don't hide your face from me.
Ne skrivaj svojega obraza pred menoj, Gospod.
Because your love
Zato, ker tvoja
is deeper
ljubezen
than life itself.
je globlja od samega življenja.
And I yearn for you,
In Gospod, želim si te.
like a bride
Hrepenim po tebi kot nevesta.
longs for her husband.
Kot nevesta hrepeni po možu, po ženinu.
That's what we want to be about, brothers.
To želimo, da je naše
That's why
življenje.
you're here today,
Zato ste danes tukaj.
to fall deeply in love with
Da se
Jesus,
globoko zaljubite v
to
Jezusa.
receive more of Him
Da spremete več
in the
Jezusa.
power of the Holy
V
Spirit,
moči Svetega Duha.
and say, change my life, God.
Zato, da lahko rečete, spremeni
Make
moje
it
življenje, Gospod.
100% yours.
Zdaj, da bo 100%
Help me
tvoje.
get rid of all this garbage in
Gospod,
me.
daj, da vsa ta umazanija gre stran z
Get me to
mene.
confession.
Daj mi, Gospod, pripravim ekspon.
Cleanse my heart, oh God.
Čisti moje srce,
Make it
Gospod.
pure.
Daj, da bo čisto.
Speak to me, God.
Govori, Gospod.
I need to hear your voice.
Moram slišati tvoj glas, Gospod. Želim si slišati tvoj
I
glas.
want you, Jesus.
Želim se te, Jezus.
I'm desperate for you,
Gospod,
Jesus.
obupan sem in obupujem, Gospod, pridi.
I'm not enough on my own.
Sam sebi nisem dovolj.
I'm broken
Zlomljen sem, Gospod.
and I'm in need of you.
In te potrebujem.
Come, Holy Spirit.
Pridi, Sveti Duh.
Come, Holy Spirit.
Pridi, Sveti Duh.
Come, Holy Spirit.
Pridi, Sveti Duh.
Give me joy.
Daj mi radost, Gospod.
Give me your joy.
Daj mi tvoja radost, Gospod.
Fill me with your joy.
Napolni me svojo radostjo, Gospod.
The joy that I will only know
Radost, ki jo bom poznal samo tako,
when I'm doing your will,
da izpolnjujem tvojo voljo,
loving and serving your people,
da ljubim in služim tvojim ljudem,
knowing what you want me to do,
da vem točno, v kaj me kličeš.
saying yes,
In govorim in pravim, da, Gospod,
Lord, I will serve.
služil bom, Gospod.
Amen.
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 Amen.